Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports.
What is up, everybody? I am Milan Jordan. This is the MMA Daily Blitz, brought to you by FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. Hey, by all means, please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You check out our YouTube page and follow me on Twitter at Milan Jordan. All right, big news in the world of combat sports as Endeavor, owners of the UFC, has closed a deal to buy a majority share of the WWE. Yeah, the UFC and World Wrestling Entertainment will merge into one publicly traded company with a reported value of $21 billion. Under the new power structure, Ari Emanuel will serve as the CEO of the UFC WWE combined company, with Vince McMahon serving as executive chairman. Dana White will remain as UFC president, and Nick Khan will be president of WWE. The merger comes as both companies are nearing the end of their current media rights deals. The WWE has their current deals with Comcast and Fox expiring at the end of 2024. And UFC's deal with the Walt Disney Company, ESPN, expiring at the end of 2025. So what does that mean for MMA fans? Well, right now, not really a whole lot, but does a UFC WWE merger mean we will see UFC fighters compete in a WWE ring as like a one-up, not Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey going there full-time. Brock Lesnar, of course, going back and forth. But as a one-off, will we see cross promotions at maybe at pay-per-views? We'll see some, maybe like a Roman Reigns sighting before a huge pay-per-view. Will we see like a Conor McGregor or, John Jones or something like that? Maybe at a WWE pay-per-view on Monday Night Raw. Who knows? I mean, it's this deal is fresh, just a few days old at this point, but I don't know, we'll see. It's very interesting, but it's going to be a huge media conglomerate and definitely shaking the combat sports world. All right, while the UFC Octagon itself was empty last weekend, but there's still plenty of action inside the cage and in the squared circle. First, we'll start with Bellator 293. That took place Friday night in Temecula, California, hometown of legend Dan Hendo Henderson. The main event was a heavyweight bout between Daniel James and Marcelo Golm. After Golm completely controlled the first two rounds with his superior grappling, James started round three aggressively, and he was a desperate fighter at that point, so he let it fly. He landed combinations before getting a knockout just 26 seconds into the third, scoring a stunning comeback victory over Marcelo Golm. Daniel James has now won 5 fights in a row, moving into title contention for Ryan Bader's heavyweight crown. As for Marcelo Golm, he sees his 4-fight win streak come to a crashing end. In the co-main event, it was Kat Zingano and Leah McCourt putting on a grappling clinic, both scoring takedowns and both able to effectively counter when they were taken down. While there wasn't much stand-up in the fight, the two fighters were efficient when they're on their feet. Both were able to do some damage in the striking department. Zingano busted up McCourt with a knee to the face. McCourt was able to inflict some damage as well, but when all was said and done, it was Kat Zingano getting a unanimous decision victory as she improves to 4-0 in Bellator MMA. Checking out the rest of the main card, it was John Salter via unanimous decision over Aaron Jeffrey in a middleweight matchup. Archie Colgan made quick work of Justin Montalvo, getting a first-round TKO just 3:33 into the fight, as Colgan improves his professional MMA record to 7-0, while Montalvo loses for the first time in 6 career fights. And Luke Traynor handed Sullivan Cauley his first MMA loss. Traynor wins via rear naked choke at 2:58 of the very first round. Bellator will return the weekend of April 21st and 22nd for a couple of events in Honolulu, Hawaii, featuring on that first card. The main event will be for the 125-pound women's championship with champion Liz Carmouche going against Deanna Bennett. The 2023 Professional Fighters League regular season kicked off Saturday night. 2023 PFL 1 at the theater at Virgin Hotels in Las Vegas. The main card, looking at the main card, the main event was a fight in the featherweight division as Brendan Loughnane followed up his 2022 PFL season championship in style chopping down Marlon Moraes with a series of vicious leg kicks before winning via TKO at 1:11 of round number 2. Loughnane improves to 26-4 in his career, while Moraes loses for the 6th straight time, all by knockout. The man Loughnane beat in the 2022 regular season championship also began his 2023 season with a victory. Bubba Jenkins was in control for much of his 15-minute fight in a unanimous decision victory over Chris Wade. One other featherweight fight of note, Movlid Khabyalev defeated Ryoji Kudo via unanimous decision. The 205ers were also in action in the PFL regular season opener. Last year's light heavyweight champ Rob Wilkinson, he beat former UFC title contender Thiago Santos via unanimous decision, while Will Fleury earned a split decision victory over Krzysztof Jotko. The PFL back at it this Friday night with 2023 PFL 2 on ESPN2. The main event, the only woman to defeat Kayla Harrison in MMA, Larissa Pacheco, begins defense of her featherweight title as she goes against veteran fighter Julia Budd. Another women's 145-pound matchup is on the main card when Aspen Ladd takes on Olena Kolesnik. The 2023 PFL men's heavyweight season also gets underway. Bruno Capoloza faces Mateus Scheffel, and Dennis Goltsov will go against Jorgen De Castro. And also, Renan Ferrer will take on Rizvan Kuniev. Gamebred Boxing had an event this past weekend. Gamebred Boxing forced a promotion run by UFC welterweight contender and BMF champ, Gamebred Jorge Masvidal. They held an event in Milwaukee this past weekend. Gamebred Boxing 4 had several MMA fighters competing in this event. The main event had former WEC and UFC champ Anthony Pettis fighting in his hometown against boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. And it was the 36-year-old Pettis getting a majority decision victory over the 54-year-old Jones in an 8-round fight. Elsewhere on the main card, Vitor Belfort celebrated his 46th birthday with a unanimous decision win over Jacare Souza. Former WEC and UFC featherweight champion Jose Aldo took on Jeremy Little Heathen Stevens in a 6-round fight. One judge scored it 58-56 for Aldo, while the other two scored the fight 57-57, making the result a majority draw. All right, I mentioned earlier that the UFC was off last weekend, but UFC is back at it this Saturday night with its next pay-per-view, UFC 287 in Miami, Florida. First time they've returned to Miami for a pay-per-view in years. The middleweight championship is on the line as Alex Pereira will defend the 185-pound crown for the first time as he goes against the man whom he beat for that title, Israel Adesanya. Back at UFC 281 last November, you may remember, Adesanya was winning the fight, but Pereira, always one punch away from winning a fight, did just that, getting a 5th-round TKO win. Pereira is 7-1 as a mixed martial artist, with 6 of those wins coming by way of knockout. This is the second MMA fight between Pereira and Adesanya, but the 4th meeting overall. These two met twice in Glory Kickboxing, with Pereira winning both of those matchups as well. The first was by decision in a very close fight, so a lot of people thought maybe Adesanya won that one. The second kickboxing fight between these two was much like the MMA fight with Adesanya and Pereira. Pereira appearing to be losing the fight before finishing with a vicious knockout. We'll see what happens come Saturday night. The co-main event is a matchup in the 170-pound division as number 5 ranked Gilbert Burns takes on hometown hero Jorge Masvidal, who is trying to snap a 3-fight skid. Masvidal hasn't tasted victory for a while since beating Nate Diaz for the BMF belt back in November 2019. While Gilbert Burns is looking to get a statement victory on Saturday, I think if he makes a huge statement come Saturday night, maybe he'll leapfrog Colby Covington to take on Leon Edwards for the welterweight title. We shall see. All right, the rest of the main card for UFC 287 looks like this. Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. Kevin Holland goes against Santiago Ponzinibbio. And 18-year-old phenom Raul Rosas Jr. puts his perfect 7-0 record on the line as he faces Christian Rodriguez. A couple of notables in the prelims on ESPN. Kelvin Gastelum will take on Chris Curtis. Michelle Watterson Gomez, the Karate Hottie, takes on Luana Pinheiro. And Cynthia Calvillo will face Lupita Godinez. All right, folks, well, that'll do it for this episode of the MMA Daily Blitz, brought to you by FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcast. Follow me on Twitter as well, at Milan Jordan. As always, thank you so much for checking out the MMA Daily Blitz. I will talk to you later.